Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather in the U.S. and Canada. So let's see first what's happening here around the U.S. So it shows in terms of severe weather, there's just a marginal risk today in parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska, and some general storms in the southeast, parts of the south, and the plains and some areas of the northwest there, in the southwest. So let's see. Tornadoes, no probabilities. Wind, 5%, and hail, a smaller 5%. So there might be some small storms there, some wind and hail. So let's see. Thunderstorms could produce isolated severe gusts and hail will be possible over parts of the north central plains this afternoon and evening. So nothing crazy, just be aware there. Tomorrow there's also a marginal risk for Sunday. It shows there in parts of Colorado, Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, and South Dakota. Mainly for wind as well, so tornado nothing. 5% wind and hail as well, 5%. Some more storms in the south, across the west, some more storms possible in other areas. Isolated strong to severe thunderstorms possible Sunday afternoon and evening, parts of the central high plains. So be aware there, but nothing crazy. Let's see. Day 3, still just a marginal risk as well for day 3. So this is Monday across kind of in the Great Basin there in the west, from Utah, Nevada, parts of Colorado, northeastern Arizona, and some areas there. So 5% probabilistic, and some more storms in the south and parts of the west. Let's see. Isolated severe gusts and small to marginal severe hail will be possible Monday afternoon, early evening, parts of the eastern Great Basin and Four Corners. So be aware there for Monday. Day 4 rate nothing, and fire just elevated today in Wyoming. So be aware. Let's see. So given modesty receptive fuels across the area, elevated fire weather conditions expected during the afternoon. So some wind and dry conditions and everything. So be aware. And tomorrow's more elevated across California and Nevada there, even Arizona. So be aware for Sunday there. So let's see here. They say ahead of amplifying large-scale trough over the west coast, and hence deep layer meridional flow will overspread the early deepening boundary layer, 15 to 20% relative humidity over portions of the southern Great Basin. This, coupled with tightening pressure gradient along the southern periphery of the involving surface cyclone, will yield 20 to 25 miles per hour sustained winds, southerly surface winds. These winds will overlap the lowest relative humidity portions of Nevada. Given modesty receptive fuels here, elevated fire weather conditions are expected. So this was interesting to read because they talked about the new system coming to the west there with the trough and everything. So that's for Sunday. Be aware. And let's see here. Today, there's still some more flash flood in the south possible, some mixed precipitation in Washington, some rain there, more storms. Day 2, Sunday, some mixed precipitation in the mountains of California, general storms and rain in many areas, and still some flash flooding possible in Mississippi and Alabama, some rain across New York and Vermont, and across the west there. Day 3, some more mixed precipitation across California, Nevada, even Utah and Wyoming, and more rain there and some storms, and still some flash flooding in North Carolina there because of the other systems. So let's see. Excessive rainfall, there's a slight parts of Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, and a marginal from Kentucky to Florida. So be aware, a marginal in southeastern Florida too for some heavy rain, and a marginal array in North Carolina there, so for the system bringing a lot of moisture there. And then another marginal in southern Arizona too, because of some moisture coming north from Mexico, so be aware. Tomorrow still a marginal in Arkansas, Mississippi, and Alabama, and a slight, especially in Mississippi, Alabama, and Arkansas, a slight risk of flash flooding, and a marginal from Missouri to Florida, so be aware. Also marginal in the southwest for Sunday. For Monday, shows a slight array in North Carolina and a marginal from South Carolina to Virginia because of the heavy rain from the system offshore, so be aware, and a marginal in the south there in the Gulf, not a marginal from New Mexico to Idaho in a big portion of the west. Day 4, another marginal in Montana for Tuesday, northern in Florida, and still on the east coast, another marginal there. Day 5, that marginal continues up the east coast there, so be aware. So in terms of the rainfall forecast, this will change, but let's take a look. Today shows like a lot in Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, especially in Alabama, close to 3 inches, and some more in Florida and the northwest in some areas. Day 2, more across the south there in Mississippi, Alabama, so be careful. Some more near the southeastern coast in California and Arizona, especially in Mexico there. Day 3, Monday, shows a lot in North Carolina because of the system offshore, so this might cause some flooding, some winds there. And Virginia to Maryland, more across the Gulf and the west there for Monday. For Tuesday, most of it goes north into Montana there and Idaho, more across the west. You can see the system digging down, and more in the plains there, parts of the plains on Wednesday. So there is a little possibility of some severe weather too, but still uncertain to say. And for next Thursday, more across the east coast, that system dissipates there, in Florida too, and more across the west. Next Friday, more across the north, especially Minnesota, in the plains too, some, and on the east coast. Next Saturday shows this big front across the central US there, and still some rain on the east, so be aware. Day one and 2, like today and tomorrow, shows all of that in Mississippi and Alabama, some building on the east and Arizona there in the west. From today to next Monday, like day 1 through 3, shows a lot there in North Carolina because of that system in the south and more across the southwest and the west. Day 1 through 5 shows a similar thing and more across the west there of that system next week. And finally, day 1 through 7, a lot through the plains there and the northwest and the southeast, especially southern Florida, showing a lot too, and the Bahamas and other areas. So we'll keep watching for this. Let's see. So day 3 through 7, the hazards shows like the heavy rain on the east there, some heavy rain across the northwest, Montana, parts of Idaho, and even some frost and freeze probabilities across the west there in Nevada because of the trough there. So be aware. Day 8 through 14, more heavy rain southern Alaska through the east and southeast, more in the plains, the north, and some gusty winds too. Day 8 through 14. So be aware. Now let's see. So not much going on in terms of heat, but southern Texas and Florida still very hot, so still some major heat risk in the southern Texas, southern plains, and Florida, some minor heat risk in other areas. Sunday, a similar thing, a little bit less. Monday, even less. Tuesday, still some moderate heat risk in the south and the northern plains. Wednesday, still in Texas there especially, even some extreme in southernmost Texas next Wednesday. Next Thursday, mainly the southern plains, and next Friday. So nothing crazy, but still some heat present there. Be aware. So the model for today, the HERS shows those storms there in Alabama, Mississippi, and those areas. Might have the heavy rain there in Tennessee as well, but especially in Alabama and Mississippi. and shows that low pressure spinning array in the ocean there near the southeast. This might be trying to develop into something. And then shows more storms in Florida this afternoon and maybe tomorrow, but mainly this afternoon. And shows already some showers across the northwest there. And the marginal risk today in the plains, did they have some storms initiating South Dakota there, maybe a severe storm or two this afternoon and evening, so be aware there. And like I showed you, the temperature is still pretty hot in the southern plains in Texas and Oklahoma, southern Florida as well, and in the southwest and some valleys they're still hot. So let's see, this is Saturday today, and now Sunday tomorrow shows more 100s in the southwest, in the plains some 90s, the Midwest some high 80s and 90s, still some 90s in Florida, some 80s across the east and other areas. So be aware for Sunday. For Monday, day 3 shows more 90s in the plains, more 80s in the Midwest, 90s in the south there, in the southwest, mainly in Arizona, and already colder across the west there. So day 3 is Monday, so the minimum temperatures for Monday shows like already some 4 is 3 is in Nevada, so especially those highlands in Nevada might have some frost next week, especially in the mountains of California, might get into some negative temperatures in the highest peaks there of California. I mean in Celsius, in Fahrenheit will be like in the 20s. And shows in Oregon too, a little bit colder in the mountains. And day 2, already for Sunday tomorrow, already shows cold there for Sunday tomorrow. Now let's see for Tuesday, day 4. Day 4, the minimum temperature is still like in the 30s and 20s in the highest mountains of Wyoming and Idaho, and the Rockies in Colorado shows cold as well, so very cold, chilly in those areas this week. So be aware. In Utah too, a little bit colder, some 30s in Nevada and the mountains in California especially. So these are the minimum temperatures like in the morning, so be aware. Some 50s and 60s in the northeast in some areas. Now day 4 maximum temperatures show still some 90s there across the southern plains in Florida, some 80s in the Midwest, and in the southwest still a 90 or 2 in Arizona there. Day 5 maximum temperatures Wednesday shows more 90s in the southern plains, down in Florida and in other areas. Now day 5 minimum temperatures for Wednesday show still pretty chilly across the west, some 30s, 40s there, and more across the mountains of California, might get into the 20s. So let's see. Day 6 maximum temperatures still hot in the plains in the south and the Midwest, and a little bit less on the west. Let's see. Day 6 minimum temperatures for next Friday shows next Thursday or Friday shows still cold across the west, especially in the mountains there, and generally across the west, so be aware there. Now day 7 next Friday, day 7, shows more 90s on the west there. On the west, no, on the southern plains, still kind of cold on the west, some 90s on the southwest, and the mountains still cold, and the southeast, some 80s. So be aware there. And let's see here. The max wind gusts for Saturday today shows a little bit windier across parts of the west and the plains, so be aware, but nothing crazy. And let's just see the European model for something here. So the 0Z here. So for now we have still that high pressure in Canada. It shows some very above average temperatures there too, and the low pressure in the south from the remnants of Francine. And then let's see what happens later. This is here. This is like Monday, shows that big trough coming in on the west there, and still a little bit higher pressure there on the east, and the lower pressure on the southeast. So, but there'll be the big trough there, and you keep going across the west, bringing those colder temperatures, the rain, and everything. So be aware. Let's see here. The precipitation maybe. So this is this is like Tuesday. You can see there in parts of Utah and Wyoming some little spots of purple, like some mountain snow, and more storms there across the north, and the system trying to go there into the southeast. So we better watch that guy as well. It might develop. And let's see here now. Some hazards. We have already some winter weather advisories in the mountains of California, some wind advisories near Nevada and Arizona, and excessive heat warnings down there in Florida. Some flood watches and advisories in Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee and Mississippi. Heat advisories in southern Texas too, and the red flag warnings there for the fire conditions and everything. So be aware there. And let's see now something else I didn't show you. So here, when you go to like, let's see if it loads here. So in terms of snowfall, still nothing. But like, let's see, this is Sunday to Monday, shows a tiny spot there in Northern California, possibly, but like day 4, where it shows some more snow probabilities in the mountains in Wyoming and Idaho. Day 5 for Wednesday, still in the mountains of California, some slight probabilities of snow, even into Thursday. Then the next Friday, mainly Wyoming, Montana, might have some snow probabilities there. So we'll keep monitoring this and be aware there. So especially here, so if we check like the European models, snowfall next 5 days, so it shows like in California some more snow there. Let's see in inches, so it shows like some 2 inches in the highest elevations there. In Nevada too, like central Nevada, near those higher elevations, 5 inches. Near Utah as well, northern Utah, some snow in Colorado, in the Rockies, in Wyoming, and Idaho and Montana there, even parts of Oregon. So this is just a model, it will change, but I'll show you. Let's see. The GFS has more like in central Idaho, Wyoming, the mountains there, a tiny hint in Colorado, and more in Nevada and California there for the snow, so be aware. And the icon has more in California, some in central Nevada there, across parts of southern northern Utah, Colorado, more through Wyoming and Idaho too. So be aware there, and this is mainly it. Let's see here. For example, here's some temperatures maybe. So for like Monday here, let's see. Across the west, this is the European model, shows like some 30 is there in the mountains of California, some 4 is further north in some areas there. So this like during the day, let's see, and at night it shows already those cooler temperatures, especially in the morning there in those mountains. So let's see, this is Wednesday, shows colder across the Rockies there, some 30s, so be aware there next week. Now let's see Canada. There's in the prairies no big threat of storms today. In Ontario, let's see here, Northwestern Territory is nothing. In Ontario might be a storm or 2 there, especially southwestern Ontario there. Some gusty winds and maybe a hail or 2 there. In Quebec, maybe a storm or 2 in easternmost Quebec, but that was yesterday. Today nothing. So Atlantic Canada, they don't show anything. and British Columbia is quiet too. So quiet in terms of storms, but in terms of rain, we still have a lot of rain and some snow there in British Columbia and Alberta. And then we have the other system coming to Yukon, British Columbia and Alaska there by like Sunday. Shows like some very heavy snow in the mountains and more rain in the coast there. So BLR even shows another system next Monday into Tuesday, some more rain in British Columbia there. And then we have the system in the U.S. there, the big trough, they'll be going north into Canada. You can see next Wednesday in Montana, the storms building, going north there into Saskatchewan and Alberta, a big low pressure showing here by the GFS. Then the GFS is actually showing like Friday the 20th, some more big snow there in parts of British Columbia and some bigger rainfall from another system. But this is just one model. This can change, like the European model is only showing a little bit of snow and rain, but it's also showing the bigger system by Wednesday and Thursday there in the prairies because of the system the US there, so we better watch. Later on the 21st, we might have some more systems there, especially on the coast. We might have to watch for some bigger rainfall events, so we'll keep watching. And for central Canada, there's still the low pressure there today across Nunavut and northern Manitoba and Saskatchewan. You'll keep going to Nunavut, maybe some storms today there. And then let's see, shows like Sunday, some storms coming like from the US into southern Canada, especially in Ontario, Manitoba, might be some storms there. And then let's see, Monday, it's a storm or two in Quebec and in Ontario, especially like next Tuesday as that system comes. It shows some bigger storms in the prairies. There's next Tuesday, next Wednesday, bigger storms too, especially next Thursday, some heavy rain. So we'll keep watching. In eastern Canada, shows still some rain in the east there in the Atlantic Canada. It's mainly quiet in Quebec and Ontario because of that high pressure system, but we'll have those storms there on Sunday across Ontario and parts of Quebec. And next Monday into Tuesday, show some other storms in Ontario, into Quebec there, some areas, but this will still change. It's just one model run, just a forecast. And then next Wednesday shows that system coming into Ontario there, Manitoba, some rain and storms, and later we might have some bigger systems there, especially that cold front next Saturday and Friday, the 20th. So we'll keep watching this and be aware there. Let's see, maybe some temperatures still very warm there during the day in Ontario and Quebec, and up to 29 degrees there because of that high pressure. But further east into Labrador and Quebec still shows like some 0 degrees at night, 1 degree, so it's still colder there. Across the west, it's very cold in the mountains and shows like British Columbia, some 11 degrees, 6 degrees, and especially at night in the morning, shows like this is Sunday the 15th, shows like -2, -1, 0 degrees in a big area of British Columbia, southern British Columbia too, like -2 in the mountains mainly, 6 degrees outside the mountains, like -2 in some mountains of Alberta, but into Yukon, Northwestern Territories, and British Columbia shows like some very cold temperatures Sunday morning, and then that's actually tomorrow, Sunday morning, and then Monday still shows some cold across the south there, 0 3 degrees in the morning, and let's see, very cold in Alaska in some higher elevations too, and across Northwestern Territories, and then during the day, like in the afternoon, shows a little bit warmer, 21 22 degrees, but still chilly in the mountains there. And then at night again, we have those very cold temperatures in Yukon and parts of Northwestern Territories, so be aware there. This like next Wednesday shows very cold temperatures in Yukon there, in Alaska, and even northern Nunavut, Northwestern Territories, so northern British Columbia as well, so be aware. And then this keeps going there. and still mild to warm on the east. Especially this like next Wednesday, so like 28 degrees there. In New Brunswick, like 27, so it's still mild there. So be aware. Wind gusts. Let's see for all the areas here. We have still those gusty winds in Nunavut because of that low pressure. In Manitoba today, and then still keeps those gusty winds tomorrow, Sunday, in Nunavut, northern Manitoba, and even Quebec sometimes there with those gusty winds. And then we start getting more gusty winds in the south there by next Wednesday because of the systems. And let's see here. In the U.S., we have the trough coming in on Monday, kick-starting a lot of gusty winds through California and Nevada, especially showing the mountains of California. Might have some very gusty winds across eastern California there, across the coast too. Might have a lot of wind advisories. And let's see, in Nevada, shows like some very gusty winds parts of Nevada. Let's see here, maybe this is in miles per hour, so it's up to 39 40 mile per hour gusts, especially in the mountains, more than 50 miles per hour gusts. And let's see in Arizona too, Colorado, but it is just a model. This forecast will change. But let's see here, later into Monday might have some gusty winds in the plains, but this like Tuesday already, Monday night into Tuesday, especially Monday night. So Monday night, the European model is showing like 60 mile per hour gusts there. In Utah, 62 mile per hour gusts. So this will be some very strong winds associated with this system. So please be mindful there. Across the plains as well, show some very gusty winds Monday night. So this will be very problematic. It shows like near California coast too, but especially in those areas there. But now the GFS shows way lighter than the European, only around 48 miles per hour, but it also shows some gusty winds, and the icon has similar to the European, like 67 mile per hour gusts there across those areas. So we will keep monitoring. And then into Tuesday, it still shows like, let's see, more gusty winds in the plains, some in Montana there. And then let's see, this is like Tuesday afternoon, shows like in Wyoming some very gusty winds in the plains, and near Oregon and Washington too. So better watch there. Then these gusty winds go into the plains there Wednesday, and then drift towards Canada as this system goes away, especially like for Saskatchewan, Manitoba, by the end of next week, and maybe Nunavut. So be aware. We'll keep monitoring everything and stay safe. Let's just see what is showing for snowfall in Canada. Shows like in Yukon next 5 days, more across many areas, many high elevations, but some areas could have it. Some mountains in Alberta, British Columbia especially, and especially showing southern Alaska, showing a lot there in the mountains, in some other spots, and northern Nunavut, some areas, and yeah, this mainly it. So be aware there, stay safe, and we still have that season now at 50%, maybe forming near the Carolinas there. So if you're watching from the Carolinas, let's just check a model or two here. So this is the GFS. It forms that system there, takes it maybe as a tropical storm towards North Carolina. There is some very heavy rain, gusty winds late Monday into Tuesday, especially Monday. And let's see, the Europeans also has a kind of forming there, but way weaker, and not actually forming, but bringing a lot of rain there. And the icon has a lot of has a kind of forming as well, maybe to a depression or a storm, but nothing crazy. But gotta watch there, especially into Virginia later. It shows the system continuing, so be aware there. And let's see, for example, there's the Canadian too, shows the low pressure developing there, and then it goes towards North Carolina. It might be designated or not. This doesn't look very organized, but it might be designated. So we'll keep watching there. And in terms of other areas, we still have Tropical Storm Gordon there. Forecast to weaken to a depression and then continue as a tropical storm further north into the Atlantic, and nothing else in the next 7 days. But later, like after 7 days, we might have to watch in parts of the Caribbean there, especially like the European is already showing a member or two if in the Caribbean near Cuba and Florida to watch, but nothing crazy for now. We'll just keep an eye on that stuff near Africa too, and especially Tropical Storm Gordon there might strengthen more in the North Atlantic, maybe into a hurricane there. So we'll watch that as well. The GFS has a little more support for a system in the Caribbean there, maybe by September 24th or something, so we better watch there. Eastern Pacific, and some more opportunities near the coast of Africa there as well. So we'll keep watching. It has a lot of support for the storm near the Carolinas, and for Gordon to continue there into the Atlantic. So be aware, and let's see here. So in the Eastern Pacific, there's still tropical storm Ileana there, and it's still bringing some very heavy rains towards Mexico in some areas there, like potentially some 6 to 8 inches, close to 100 millimeters, so be aware there. And let's read these key messages in Spanish for them. La tormenta tropical Eliana trae lluvias fuertes por zonas de la costa Sinaloa de México hasta este fin de semana. Esta lluvia trae riesgo de inundaciones repentinas y deslizamientos de tierra. En esta área se esperan condiciones de tormenta tropical dentro del área de aviso norte de Sinaloa y sur de Sonora hasta esta tarde. Entonces, precauciones aí com essa tormenta. So let's see, shows there's still some tropical storm warnings in western Mexico, so please be careful there. Let's see, for example, the satellite shows some very heavy rain and storms there associated with this system, and the rain accumulation, the European shows like more than 100 millimeters next 5 days from this system, so might be some floods there, be careful. Northern Mexico already showing more rainfall, close to 71 millimeters next 5 days, some 80 millimeters further south there. Central Mexico might have some heavier storms from time to time, especially in the southwestern coast there, for Guatemala. Let's see, Honduras, near Honduras, so might have more storms there, and showers in Nicaragua, especially eastern Nicaragua, but it could rain in the whole country. In Costa Rica and Panama, might be some heavier storms there. So, but nothing crazy, but just be aware during showers and storms. In Belize, too, some rain, and in the Yucatan. This is next 5 days. If we go back to like 2 days, it shows way less there because it's 2 days, but already shows like a lot in northern Mexico next 2 days, so be aware. And then until next 5 days, we'll have more there, Central America and the Caribbean. Especially in Cuba, next 5 days in Cuba shows close to 65 millimeters, so there might be some heavier storms there in the Bahamas too. So be aware there. Let's see, más tormentas en Cuba, precauciones y más lluvias. Good. So let's see, near Dominican Republic and Haiti, might be some more afternoon storms, Puerto Rico, and more passing showers and storms in the Windward Islands, but nothing crazy. So let's see, this model always changes, but it shows like some storms from time to time in Central America, heavier there in northern Mexico, southern Texas, and the storms near Cuba and the Bahamas, sometimes in Hispaniola, and some more from time to time in the Caribbean there. So just be aware, in Central America especially, like Wednesday, next Tuesday, and this is mainly it. So stay safe there, and yeah, bye.